most of you know who've been arm wrestling for a while, you know how important it is to get a quick start on your opponent at the table, okay? As they say, you don't want to start second. Okay, so one of these things that comes up, though, is how to train to get faster, okay? Train for speed. Here's one of the things that you're probably running into at practice, okay? And here's one of the problems. And then I'll talk about the solutions. Okay, so one of the things that you often run to at table practice, which of course is one of the funnest parts of arm wrestling, obviously, for most people, okay? In terms of starting the match, oftentimes when you're just practicing with a friend, let's say there's 6 guys in the club and there's 3 tables, okay? You're all arm wrestling against somebody. Usually when you're starting, you're just kind of like, okay, you ready? Okay, go. Or you work through different scenarios and things like that, okay? But oftentimes you're not going to get a lot of speed practice for a quick start. And so, unless you get really specific about it. And so you want to mimic the tournament as much as possible. You want to mimic what's going to happen in the tournament as much as possible. You want to have a ref giving you the ready, go, and then you start, okay? That's the best way to put yourself in a position to win a tournament, okay, is to kind of mimic what's going to happen there. But I wanted to share with you kind of a little bit of a secret that I have to practicing quick starts at practice, along with talking about the importance of it. Okay, so really quick, let me touch on the importance of it. Now, I think you know in general why it's important. You want to be able to get a quick start at the tournament. You understand that. But practicing it in a very disciplined, organized way, okay, if you're 1 split millisecond faster than your opponent, it can make a big difference. And this is what I want to say to a lot of the people who are probably working on trying to become stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger, and they never really think about, wait a minute, what if I became faster and faster and faster along with getting stronger? That's a big consideration for arm wrestling. It's something that often gets left way behind. People are like, I just need to get stronger. I lost. I need to get stronger. And that's probably true. I think everyone, it's obvious, it's a strength sport, okay? It's just like any other strength sport. Obviously, you need to get stronger, but a big portion of the sport of arm wrestling and getting better and winning is actually speed. The speed at which you start. And that's when you can really, really, really get a huge edge on. If you're having a strength disadvantage on the table, you can make up with that by proper positioning and speed. Okay, so I think we covered the importance of why speed is important in arm wrestling, but also I want to get to why it's important in practice. Obviously, what you do in practice plays out in the tournament. The more you practice, the better your results are probably going to be at the tournament. But this is what I was going to say, and I want to share with you a little secret. Okay, now I already mentioned how ideally it's nice to have you versus your opponent and then have a third person acting as the ref, where they set your hands in exactly the right position legally, like it would be from a stranger ref at a tournament, wherever that was, okay? And they're mimicking that exact situation and then giving you kind of a ready, go type scenario. But remember this, and this is what I wanted to cover quickly before I talk about my solution, is I think most of you who've arm wrestled in different tournaments with different organizations, and this is something I hate about arm wrestling. It's the different cadences, meaning the different things the ref does, the different speeds that they say go. You arm wrestle in one organization and it's ready, go. You arm wrestle in another organization and it's ready, go. And there's the arm wrestlers start on the ready. They don't start on the go. And everybody's run into this who's been arm wrestling long enough. And it drives you crazy because in terms of actually starting the match, it's hard to know exactly what kind of a ready go you're going to get from the referee. And that makes it really difficult to practice with an actual person unless you know exactly what the ref's going to do at your upcoming tournament, and you probably don't. Okay, so that's why you can start running into trouble when you have somebody helping you ref the match as a practice for speed, is if you're going to a tournament where it's ready, go, and you're practicing with ready, don't move, go. okay, which you might run into as well, okay? If you're not practicing, whatever you're practicing, it needs to mimic the tournament. So I have a way to get around that I found to be really effective, okay? And this is just by using a simple timer, like a little timer you might have on your fridge, just minutes and seconds, like a timer, a kitchen timer, a little kitchen timer that you would just put, okay, you have a bunch of cookies in the oven for 15 minutes. You set it for 15 minutes, it beeps when it goes off. Same thing, you can set it for 10 seconds, you can set it for 5 seconds, and then it beeps. Okay, now this works when you're by yourself, and I'm gonna demonstrate this on the table, okay? I'll go over all of this stuff that I'm talking about again later, and I'll show you on the table as well, where it's applicable. But what I wanted to say was, just to give you something to work on right now before I get the table out, is if you have a timer like that, you can do it by yourself, you can do it with one partner, meaning if it's just you and one other person, you can do this, or you can do it with 3 people or 4 people, and I'll show you how that would work. Okay, so when you're working on speed training and quick starts in arm wrestling, okay, you want to keep this stuff in mind. Okay, so when you're using your timer, let's take the 3 examples we talked about, which is by yourself, with a partner, or with multiple partners, okay, in your arm wrestling. Okay, for speed training. What I wanted to talk about before that is this. Okay, remember that in speed, with the speed, the faster you can move your opponent out of position, whatever movement you're going for, if you're going for a hook, if you're going for a top roll, whatever position that is, the quicker you can move into your position, that can negate, or meaning get around, a lot of strength that another person has. If you're quicker to the move to your move, then they are getting to their move, okay? So that's why obviously speed is so important. So when you're starting, make sure, take it very seriously. Even if you're by yourself, make sure to practice the way you would be at the tournament. Okay, so here's our scenarios. By yourself, okay, and like I said, I'll show you this, how it looks on the table, okay? But you can get the idea right now. Okay, make sure to position yourself for the exact move you're planning on doing. So let's say you're practicing quick starts and you're doing top rolls. So you have to pick what move you're going to do before you start practicing your quick starts, okay? Don't just get up there and go, ready, go, and move your body. Pick a very specific movement that you want to practice. A top roll, a hook, a press, some kind of combination you want to work on, and you would set your body and your hand and your position for exactly that movement. And then when the go happens, you would go through that movement, okay? So then if you're switching to a hook, you'd set your body differently. You'd probably put your elbow on the pad a little differently. You obviously, if you're having somebody else there, you'd grab their hand a little differently, and then you'd go through the motions of trying to set that hook position as quickly as you can, and that's the whole idea. Okay, so our scenarios are this. Okay, so what you would do is, everyone's got a little internal counter in their head, okay, and that's not what I'm talking about here, is I want to get around that so that you hear the beep and then you go, okay? So that's like the ref giving you that ready, go signal, okay? The same thing when you hear the beeper, and that's what's nice about having a partner there too, is when you hear the beep, you can move very, very quickly, and you both can agree you heard the beep and you're not moving before the beep, okay? So you can set it for different, here's kind of the key with this, okay, for mixing it up, is no matter whether you're by yourself or with a partner or with multiple people, you can set the timer for different times, okay? And this is why I like it, because it helps to train all the different cadences that you might get from different refs at different tournaments, with different organizations, okay? So let's say you set the timer for 5 seconds, okay? And let's say you're all by yourself. There's nothing you can do about that, okay? You're all by yourself. You set the timer and you hit it, and then you get yourself into position, and when the timer goes off, you go through your move, okay? Obviously. Okay, so now let's take another scenario. Let's say you're with a partner. It's just you and one other person. Okay, you both know what time is on the timer. Let's say you pick 7 seconds. Something that's just a random number, not too long, not too short. 7 seconds. Hit the number, 7 seconds, take a grip, and get yourself into position during that 7 seconds, and be totally still. And by the time you hear that beep, you would go into action and you see which one of you is faster, and that's what you're working on. And you don't need to use complete maximum strength. You don't need to go 100% force. Remember, it's speed. You're not necessarily force and speed together. This would be a speed training thing where you're both going through the motions, where if they get to their movement first and you get to your movement first, you're not trying as much force as you are speed. And that's something you can kind of work through a little bit, negotiate how hard you want to do that, okay? But it doesn't need to be 100% in terms of the force applied, okay? And then with multiple partners, it makes it a lot better. And here's the reason, is that if it's just you, and let's say you and your opponent, you and your practice partner are the ones arm wrestling, so you're in position, and the third person, like let's say the ref or whatever, the third person that's off the table that's not arm wrestling, he can be the one or she can be the one with the timer, and they can pick a time that you don't know. The arm wrestlers don't know what it is, okay? So let's say, you know, you're there at the table with somebody else, you're getting ready for your speed training and you're working on quick starts, okay? And they don't, the person's going to set it for a number somewhere between 3 and 10 seconds. Okay, but they don't tell you what it is, and then when the beeper goes off, you have to react, okay? But you don't react before then. So if they set it for 9 seconds, and then on the next match they set it for 4 seconds, then the next match they set it for 6 seconds, then the next match they set it for 3 seconds. You see what I mean? That's going to give you a very good reaction time as you practice that, okay? So that's just kind of my little trick that you can throw in there that I found to be really effective in terms of working on quick starts in arm wrestling. Is